Welcome back to Brick and Brand. We're your co-hosts, Delaney and Bretley.
Welcome and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to everyone. We're so excited to be here. We are actually recording this over Thanksgiving, hence our family being here.
We have been looking forward to this for so long. You guys have no idea. I think even before we launched Brick and Brand, we were talking about this episode and planning for it and brainstorming. So we're so excited to share with you guys. You're in for a major treat today.
We're bringing the group chat out of the group chat, and we're getting down to the behind the scenes and the insider scoop on our family and having a family business.
And the four people today, just so everyone has a little perspective, we all are in a group chat, like Delaney said, and we also have four-way FaceTime calls and phone calls, and we're always doing group conversations, and the conversations are insane. And we thought, what a better way to celebrate Christmas than just share with everybody the craziness that is our family and bring it all to life.
Yep. So that leads us to who we have here today. Bretley, would you like to introduce our first guest?
I will do the honors. I want to introduce the OG real estate veteran of our family and of so many people, Vince Roche, our dad. He is literally the reason that we're here today. We would not be in the business. We would not be doing Brick and Brand. We would not be who we are without him. He has just taught us basically everything that we know and helped kind of shape us on how we see the world. So he has 25, 30 years of stories and successes and failures and so many incredible things to share. So without further ado, our dad, welcome to Brick and Brand.
Thank you, Bretley. What a great introduction, Delaney. Gosh, it's such a treat to be here. I've been looking forward to it for a long time.
We've been pumping it up for a long time.
Yeah, and you guys are so well prepared, and just we're excited.
Yay!
It's really fun to be here.
Thank you for being here.
Appreciate it. What a pleasure.
Absolutely. And that leads us to our second guest, very, very special guest, and also my business partner, Sullivan Roche, our brother. Sullivan is actually the trailblazer for the next generation of commercial real estate. He was the first sibling to follow in our dad's footsteps and pave his own path in San Diego, California, and was nice enough to let me jump on that bandwagon with him. And we work together day in and day out. Sullivan is easily one of the hardest working, most driven, committed people I know. He's all gas, no brakes. And we are so, so excited to have him here with us today. So Sullivan Roche, welcome to Brick and Brand.
Thank you, guys. Man, I'm excited to be here. It's been really cool to watch you guys build this. So what an honor to be able to kick it off with you.
They've been our biggest fans since day one.
So. They really have. So much going on behind the scenes. And so I kind of want to hear from you guys, hearing about Bretley and I starting Brick and Brand. And you've obviously known about this kind of from inception and when the idea was sparked. What has been your thought about us building this business kind of in tangent with our commercial real estate business? But also it's its own thing. And what have you guys thought about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump in here. Gosh, I think just on a personal level, it's so cool to see you guys working together in that way, right? I mean, we share real estate as a family, but to see you guys venturing into the media space and really pulling back the curtain on commercial real estate I think it's exciting. And there's definitely something missing in the space. We have so many residential real estate shows, but there's not much that shows you what it's like in commercial real estate.
100%.
Yeah.
And the dynamic you guys have, I think, is brought to life, in audio and visual. So it's cool I think your idea is a good one. And you guys have put in so much work to perfect it and to make sure you're telling stories.
Well, and hearing feedback from you guys and bouncing ideas off of you guys, I don't think we could have done it without that. Because you guys are in the business every day, seeing it, boots on the ground. You have the best perspective. So we're always coming to you asking, what do you think about this? Is it, and getting your thoughts, and we value those so much. So thank you, Sullivan.
I'm going to take a swipe at that. It's a ton of work, first of all. And you guys, I don't know how much the audience knows, but you started this over a year ago. And knowing the two of you, you weren't going to do something halfway, and you weren't going to do something just average.
Right.
And so needless to say, preparation. And you guys have been, been preparing a long time. Even though you've been dropping things, just more recently. But I knew that you guys would be committed to excellence in what you're doing. So I knew it would be a ton of work in addition to the work you do every day. And the cool thing is that we're in retail real estate. We're not doing industrial or office. We do retail, that's the part that I thought was so unique, that the four of us all do retail, that everybody experiences retail real estate as consumers. And so to think that you guys could, as professionals and as lay people, we all do shopping and wonder why we spend our money where we spend it and make the decisions we make. So I think it was just a great idea, well conceived. And then you guys have just been really diligent about execution and bringing it to the market and bringing it with a high quality, obviously with a real professional approach, and it shows so far. So I'm excited to see. And then, just to think that we can throw in ideas or consult or be sounding boards is exciting for us.
Well, did you ever think, Dad, that you would have 3 kids? You have 6, but 50% of your kids followed in your footsteps in retail real estate. I mean, did you ever think that was possible?
Well, you guys know this because you're my kids, but I never guided any of you towards it.
Right.
So did I ever think it was possible? I never even thought about it. It wasn't even, I just wanted to help you find your passion, right? As a parent, that seems like one of our biggest responsibilities. Help your children find their passion, whatever it is. And it's different for every child. So the fact that 3 of you guys landed in that space, had I tried to guide you there or push you there, you wouldn't be there.
Totally.
I think.
Reverse psychology.
Yeah. So
It worked.
but
It sure did.
Yeah.
it's funny because it just,
Well, I don't think anybody ever thinks they're going to be in retail real estate. That's kind of the theme that I hear, is everyone finds himself there through one thing or another, but it was never really like a plan from when you were a little kid. And I know, like for you, Dad, you grew up playing so much football all through high school and college that it really helped kind of form this really competitive mindset.
Sure.
And I can do anything. It kind of, I think in some ways, maybe kind of helped craft you for being in this field.
no doubt.
But, can you share with us a little bit about like, how did your childhood lead you to being in retail? Was that a field that you pursued, or did it just kind of come to you through different circumstances?
Yeah, no, it was complete. Sports, of course, develops discipline and training and teamwork. Teamwork's probably the most important thing that I learned, in addition to just regularly training and preparing. And being a great teammate. And because I played football, it was always a big team and lots of people. And without tons of coordination and looking out for the other guy, you'll never get to your goals.
Right. Totally.
So, but when I graduated from college, I honestly had no idea what I was going to do for a living. I had no idea. I had a business degree, but there was another football player that was in the development business. He got hired right out of college. And his boss who hired him said, I need one more guy. And he said, you need that guy. He plays right next to me. And we were both we were always trained, and in the work, we just had really disciplined work habits at a young age. And so we had to transfer those skills. But I was just completely fortunate to fall into the development business originally, office building development in San Francisco.
And
so
this was, you did that while you had one kid, just Taylor, and then you kind of transitioned into retail.
Yeah, for about 13 years, we did development
I didn't realize
work.
It was quite that long.
And then, it was before Taylor,
Right.
Yeah, so for about 13 years, we did office building development in the Bay Area and down through Bakersfield. And shortly after Taylor was born is when the business took a real dive in all commercial real estate.
Was that 2008, the financial
No,
crisis?
it was before that.
Okay.
Yeah, Taylor was born in
That's
90.
right.
It was right around 91, 92. It was a savings and loan crisis,
Okay.
which you guys are too young to remember. But
It sounds bad.
it was a crisis. Yeah, the government.
Crisis is the word.
The government had to step in, and there was many foreclosures. Almost every property was being foreclosed, and so that's when I transitioned to brokerage. I was living in Bakersfield and transitioned to brokerage and started the team, so to speak, and was in retail.
Right.
Picked retail because we'd done some retail development and shopping center stuff. And
it's one thing to be competitive and to bring that into business, but I feel like playing on a big football team all those years really made you into a team builder and a leader that we don't always see in retail, because it can be kind of a lone wolf business where you just go out and you eat what you kill.
Sure.
And something that you've done so well, I think, is just building teams with how many offices? Was it 4 or 5 offices that you ultimately had?
Me and my partners owned 4 offices at one time,
offices.
about 70 people.
That's a lot of people.
Insane.
Yeah.
That we need to
And
pause
they
on
aren't
that.
just
That's
running-
a big deal.
And you were still producers at that
Yeah,
time
we were.
doing
Yeah,
beverage.
we were full producers. That was our main business, but we also had to run the company and hired great people to do it.
Right.
You hire outstanding people that are capable of what they do.
Yeah.
That's super important.
Sullivan came to you thinking about getting into the industry because you were an accountant after college. And then tell us a little bit about your transition after that. And I kind of want to hear, did you reach out to dad for advice at that point? I'm assuming yes. Were you like, pump the brakes? This is the hardest industry. Don't do it. No, I'm kidding.
Your life.
No, it's a great question. And I've told this story many times, calling back to what you said earlier, because you didn't push us. I think that was one of the reasons I came back around to real estate. I was close to it because of you, but I had never really, exposed myself to it. So I was coming out of college with a finance and business degree. I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to be in a dynamic business environment, building. Ironically, I was doing staff accountant work for a pharmaceutical company, really just because it was easy and it was there. It was an internship that had developed into a job. And I think that period of my life, I got 20, 21, 22, the task was learning myself and getting to know what I wanted.
Right.
I feel like we're told, hey, you're supposed to go into college kind of already knowing what your career path is.
Totally. Which is so unrealistic.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I came out of it, knowing I wanted to make money. I wanted to have an impact. I wanted to be a builder. I wanted to work with people, but specifically I had no direction.
Right.
And so through that staff accountant role, I got to know myself and realized I know I'm not hyper analytical, antisocial, back of house. So it wasn't that real estate just like went off in my mind as the solution. This is not for me.
Yeah.
I need something that I can add value. That was the feeling at the time, was the best I can do in this kind of analytical accounting type role is to avoid mistakes. Like there's no value add created.
Lack of fulfillment, it sounds like. Yeah.
And so that wasn't satisfying, suffice to say. And I had called dad for advice probably about 1.5 years into that role. And I really just didn't know how to make a transition, nor what direction to go. And so all he really did was said, well, I'm here. And if you need a launch pad for 3 to 4 or 5 months where you spend time at home and interview in the next sector that you want to go out and pursue. And I was saying to myself, gosh, I've never really considered real estate.
Right.
I mean, it was as simple as that. This is something that's close. I have access. I can learn about it. And I never really did that. So it was the first time that I admitted to myself, maybe I should look into this. And to dad's credit, he never pushed me towards a discipline or even said, finally, this is the thing you should do. It was just
It's about time.
So some of the best advice he'd ever given me wasn't really advice. It was just, I'm here to help you if you want to look at that. And here's a few people that I would think you should talk to first. And that was really all it took.
Yeah.
It was a little lift. And he pointed me to several just highly respected brokers and directors in a few different markets. And immediately it clicked for me as I went and met them. These are people I respect. I can imagine myself in their shoes.
Market leaders.
And all of a sudden, what they do day to day, now you're really curious because you see something in them that you're like, wow, I don't even know what they do, but I respect that person.
Yeah. Yes.
And so that
Great
was
way to describe it.
That was the inception point for me. And it was really, good parenting to not push me because I found it on my own, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
And how many years have you been doing it now? Is it 7 or 8? It's been
I
a
think
little while.
between 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Well, and I want to touch on briefly as well, because I think this is something so many people experience is you mentioned you're supposed to know what you want to do when you go into college, or maybe that feels like the expectation. And now being a little bit past that, we can look back and have appreciation that you're 18 years old, 19, 20. There's no way you're going to know, the rest of your life and what it's going to look like at that point. You're still figuring out who you want to be. But to have the courage to have identified a career, pursued that career in a higher education, stepped into that role, and then being 22, 23 and deciding, hold on, this isn't going to be the rest of my life. And I feel like there can be a perception of, oh, you're taking steps backwards. If you step out of that career, if you try and pivot and do something else, there can be a perception of, well, then what was my college degree for? I experienced that. I'd studied medicine and obviously I'm not using it. So take us back to that point and making that decision to really quit your 9 to 5, move home for a temporary period and find out what you really want to do long term. I have to imagine that was pretty difficult for a young man to make that decision for themselves.
No, I think it's a great point to make, because there is so much pressure put on that. And
Totally.
we're given this curriculum in most Western education that's, here's what you need to know, and by the time you graduate high school, you should know how to apply that. I love learning, you know what I mean? And I learned a ton of things that interest me, but I had no real world experience and no one does. So I was coming out of college from competing in tennis for 4 years. So that was a major factor in, so I was coming out of college having played tennis for 4 years, and I was running on competition and success. And that environment was disappeared really with tennis. Sure. And so that void was made more evident kind of in a workplace where I didn't feel like I could create value. So that time, I felt directionless. And even though I was only 23 or 24, you could look around and see your peers that they had a more traditional, they knew what they wanted to do. And it seemed like, oh, they're ahead of me, or I need to figure this out. And to those out there that haven't figured that out, there isn't a rush. I think the more things you can experience, if you're lucky enough to know what you're passionate about and know your skill set in high school and college, more power to you, because there's always going to be people that are willing to reach down and help you into that industry. But I think it was really, when I think back on it, it was really the competitive element that was missing for me. And that was obvious in brokerage, kind of that there is no playbook, right? It's not traditional employment where I know what's expected of me today. I know how much money I'm going to earn and exactly what I need to do.
No more, no less.
Have a good quarterly review.
Yeah.
A good fraction of employment is traditional in that way.
Right.
And so that was part of the self-discovery process, was that I'm motivated and driven by that upside. And real estate happened to be proximal because of Vince, and I had a little bit of insight into what it was. And back to what we said earlier about retail being relatable, as I looked at different asset classes, once I realized real estate was something that I was interested in, retail was just so easily relatable, such that we interact with it so often that I was quickly drawn to that.
Yeah,
totally.
Well, I appreciate so much that you took the time to have introspection, and you took a few months to think about it and really evaluate, and you didn't just jump to something. And a lot of real estate is knowing, like you said, your strengths and your weaknesses. Not so much, am I going to be good at real estate itself, but what are my natural strengths and weaknesses? And that kind of leads us to, and I think everybody in real estate shares that competitive drive and that competitive desire, whether that comes from sports or something else. And, we love that about the business. There's so many things that we love, but it's also a very difficult business. And the four of us have talked so much about the challenges, and we've called you, Dad, all of us individually and collectively, saying, oh my gosh, this happened. How do I deal with this?
Borderline tears.
Yeah, all the time.
At least myself.
And it will probably happen again next week. It's an ongoing thing. So, Dad, as someone who has been in the business 20 years?
40 years.
40 years.
1984.
I mean, it's incredible.
83, 84, I got the business. So it's
incredible what you've done.
Amazing.
And so I'm just curious, was there ever a time when you seriously considered quitting the business? And if so, what prevented you from quitting it and going to something more traditional? Because obviously there were so many ups and downs.
Something more safe and certain.
Yeah, because you had kids, you were growing a family. I'm sure that was difficult as the economy went up and down.
Well, it kind of goes back. You both touched on knowing your skills, and I think that's a big. We wouldn't hire anybody new until we tested them and saw really their strengths and weaknesses, and we need to know that in ourselves, and that's super important. And we learn that as we go when we're honest with ourselves, right?
Right.
When we come up against challenges, and we're in commercial brokerage, it is a sales business, so you are putting yourself out there and you're asking for an order, and you can get a lot of rejection and that kind of thing. But to answer your question, Brettley, the people that hired me and trained me in my first 10 to 20 years in the business were so dynamic, so powerful to me. And I looked up to them with such reverence because it was like they were running a circus, all perfectly orchestrated.
Unbelievable.
With tons of professionals and building buildings, and they were the quarterback. And I'm walking in their shadow realizing you're going to be a quarterback one day. And it's like, well, what do you mean? Well, you get to call the plays, and everybody in the huddle is going to be working. And so I never considered an industry other than the one I was in. Now, it's a brutally difficult industry. It could be lonely. It could be frustrating. It could be financially devastating if you're not careful.
Yeah.
But I was surrounded by people that were so inspiring to me. And were so skilled, and they, like all of us need to do, reached back and trained me and coached me and corrected me, but most of all inspired me. Ron, the guy who actually hired me out of college, he loved sculptures, and he was an artist in his own way. And there was a side of him that was an artist. That was what he loved the most, and he loved to create. And so that's when he would develop properties and different. To him, he was just creating, and it would just spill over all the time.
So organic.
Whether it be the building or the fence that he had to put around it during construction, nothing went unnoticed. Everything had to have his touch.
Right.
Well, you always told us, one of the things I remember growing up, and you still say this, I think you told it to me a few days ago, you always say we're in the idea business.
Yeah, I believe that firmly.
And you always have told us creativity first. And I don't think that's something a lot of people think about. Retail real estate is creativity. Maybe that's number 3 or 4 or 5 on the list, but you've always emphasized to us that that's really one of the top qualities you need to have to be successful. And it is, in a way, like an artist. You have to see things differently.
Being able to think creatively, think outside the box, and not give up when you get your first no, or even your second or your third.
Our philosophy on our retail team was no idea is a bad idea. All ideas are good ideas. Some are way better than others. But the idea of business, when you're in it, cultivates more ideas. And that's the genesis, and where great things come out of those. Every once in a while, you get some really good ideas.
Yeah.
When you're cultivating it and you're in a safe spot to share it and do it.
Yeah.
Then it's like, what about that? You go, oh,
right.
That is a great idea. And all of a sudden that would have never been born had we not fostered it and created an environment for it to come to life.
Yeah.
And then it's like, we can act on that, and that can create value. That solves 2 people's problems or brings 2 people together or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it was the guys I worked with that trained us that way. And then I just thought, that's illogical. Why would we not just focus on that? And you still have to execute every day, and it's a fun part of the business.
Right.
We get so anyway, I'm a firm, strong believer in great ideas and always having ideas. And many of them might not work. If only 10% of them work, that's okay.
Yeah.
They can accomplish amazing things.
Yeah. Right.
With just those ideas.
I think what you're touching on is one of the things that makes the business so satisfying. When your creativity or your problem solving gets you across that gap.
Yeah.
And then down the road from that, you get to see the physical representation of your problem solving or your creativity. And you can interact with it, or you see the community change because of that.
Exactly.
So there's when you talk about Ron Beardsley and his talents as an artist, his application in commercial real estate, it really is artistic. He's having the same.
And you can drive around the cities
from it.
that he worked in, and it's like, well, he created that, and he put that sculpture in, and that fountain, and that landscaping. He had his fingerprints all over all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And while I don't have experience developing even a lease agreement or a sale of a property that leads to a transformation can give you that same satisfaction.
No doubt.
It's one of the things that,
because the bricks and mortar become the end product.
certainly,
Right?
yeah.
And almost always in the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that helps you withstand the many no's or rejections or
Sure.
delays or, missteps in this business. Is the reward can of course be financial, but it can also be satisfying in a way
At
that
a deeper
is
level.
different.
Absolutely. Seeing your city evolve because of a
Yeah.
role that you
Yeah.
part in.
Not just saying no, just say
Yeah.
why not, or what if, or how come we can't do that, or
Well, and to this point, our business is so dynamic. The opposite of black and white, right? Like,
Oh,
don't take no
yeah.
for an answer, find another way,
Yeah.
find another path. To that point of kind of constantly thinking about the deals that you're working on and the clients that you're working for, I feel like it can be really easy to let that invade your personal life, let that invade your peace and your personal
Oh, for
space,
sure.
take
Yeah.
that home to your family, not be able to turn it off because it is so fulfilling. It's a little bit addictive once you get the hang of it. And it's just really easy to constantly be thinking about it and thinking about your transactions that you're working on. So have you guys ever really struggled with that? Sullivan, maybe you can take this one as far as taking your work home with you, finding a way to make sure your life is balanced and your work life is separate from your home life and you're able to just maintain that mental well-being.
And just especially when things maybe aren't going so well. Like we talked a little bit about rejection and hearing no, and that happens a lot more than we hear yes. So it's easy to
Totally.
be on cloud nine when everything's going well, but how do you handle the personal life and all of that when maybe things aren't going well or you're hearing no a lot?
Yeah, such a good question. The short answer is yes, I do struggle with that. And I think I'm grateful for that struggle in a way because it points to the alignment of what I'm doing in my profession with purpose or passion or meaning, which may seem like overstated, but if I knew exactly what I was going to earn and what I was going to get, I probably wouldn't have such a hard time taking it home and shutting it off and just drawing those boundaries. But because it's such a all-encompassing, thought-provoking, relationship-based business, I think it's inherently hard to kind of draw those lines. And, your question makes me think of something a cooperating broker that I was working with when I was 3 or 4 years into the business said. It was a sale that I was working on with my partner. It was a super regulated industry. It was basically, I think it was a licensing agreement where one business was taking over another and there was real estate involved. I had a senior partner, so I wasn't leading the deal, but after 6 months of toil, somebody just woke up on the wrong side of the bed and the deal wasn't going our way. And at the time, I wasn't earning a lot of money. I was working my tail off and it was like, you're kidding me.
Yeah. How could this be
How
happening?
can this be?
Yeah.
Yesterday,
Yeah.
you guys were on the same page. What happened? So my partner and I were beside ourselves, basically just trying to rationalize how we were going to make that next phone call to our client and unwind the deal.
Relay the news. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the listing broker, he was probably in his early 30s. And what he said has stuck with me. And I don't remember the exact words, but he said something to the effect of, Sullivan and partner, what I tell myself is that when a deal's going right and the parties are coming together, things are advancing, it's meant to be. And when for one reason or another, you're at an impasse, it's metal on metal and you've grinded to a halt, you have to let go and recognize that, okay, that deal is no longer meant to be right now. That doesn't mean it's not going to come back. That doesn't mean there isn't a creative solution. And this isn't to say that we didn't fight for it, but we have to know in our business when to be able to pull back and let go.
Yeah.
And the discouragement and losses can really build. You might hear people talk about the 3 to 5 year journey and like how hard it is to really cement yourself in the business. I think that's one of the reasons is how do you deal with the micro losses and the discouragement? And if you don't have kind of a philosophy for letting those go, if you simply internalize each one, you become so burdened you can't really perform in this industry.
That's a great way to put it.
And so do I struggle with it? Absolutely. But I think that's a function of the fact that I'm doing something that I love. If I didn't feel that engaged with it, I think it would be easier to turn off. One of the things I have to come back to is what that, cooperating broker had said, which was you can do everything you can do, and then you have to be willing to let it go. and it will be there for you the next day. Dad has always reminded us of this. I've tried to solve problems after 6, 7 p.m. that really can't be solved that night. You have to come back and solve them the next day. While our business can be fun to share with others, there's a lot of stress and tension that can come through. So I do struggle with that. But I think at the end of the day, it's remembering that it's a privilege to be able to work in the space that we're in. And longevity is being able to hold on loosely at times.
Amen. Absolutely. Yeah. I remember, I think I've talked about this on the pod before. Bradley, you probably heard this story, but I remember one of our weekly calls, because we talk every Wednesday at 3 p.m., best time of the week. I got on the phone with you, and the first thing you said to me was, "Are you doing okay? You sound really tired." And I'm sure I was. I was probably exhausted, didn't have enough sleep or whatever the case was. But you said to me, "That's a problem. If I can hear it, your clients can hear it too. They can hear it in your voice. They can hear your fatigue, your stress, whatever it is. And that's not good for your business. You need to be fully at 100% or as close to it as you can each day when you go into work and letting everything else go." And it was, in the moment, I was like, oh, I'm a little offended. But it's so true. And I think about it all the time. Yeah, maybe I didn't get enough sleep last night. Is that going to jeopardize my business? Can I show up as the best version of myself and give 100% that day? Probably not if I'm running on empty. So it's a great point. And it was great advice.
Well,
and you've always used the analogy, Dad, from your football days. I think I've talked about this on the pod before, but you always would say when you're on the field, you play 100%, you go all out. But when you walk off the field, you take off your helmet and the game's over. And that's a sports analogy, but that's how you approach business too. And it's much easier said than done. But I think that's allowed you to have the longevity that you had, because to Sullivan's point, if you carry those stresses with you, they weigh you down and you can't perform at your best for your clients. You have to be able to do it over and over and over again.
Right.
Well, and the word I think of when I listen to you is preparation. We would prepare all week for a 3-hour game in college football. And every day you were preparing, mentally, physically, emotionally, all completely. And so it's not dissimilar, whether it's a professional life or our personal lives. We 8 to 5, let's say we're executing. And there's times after that you can be thinking about, I need to do this, and I need to get my sleep, or I need to eat well, or I need to exercise, or I need to spend time with my family and those I love. So to have good balance, all of those things are part of the preparation for when you are on call and you're ready and it's time to go win some business and get in front of the decision maker. And you want them to say, when you walk out the door, it's like, we have to hire them because they're that good and they're that ready and they're that prepared. And they've thought about things that we never thought of. If you can, and that's why I think preparation is so critical. We fly around all day long, but sometimes if you just start that project a couple weeks earlier, and you guys have done it, I mentioned it was the first thing I mentioned on your podcast. You guys have prepared so that the product is first class. It's top shelf stuff, and it's excellence, which is what you ultimately want to shoot for. Not perfection, but excellence. You want your clients to just acknowledge and see, feel, and hear somebody who's passionate about what they do. They're good at what they do. They're going to execute. That they're going to be honest. They're going to have integrity, and all those things. And so, anyway, that's
it's a good point.
That's how I
to
think
make.
about my walk through the career.
It's a marathon.
I like what you said about the preparation being a part of that.
It is big part.
And this may not be exactly what you meant, but what I thought of in my head is when you show up to that presentation or when you leave, you have peace because of the preparation.
And you
know that you showed up with a full set of tools, and
absolutely,
you know,
the ball might have bounced not your way. You want to win them all, but you're not going to win them all. You might have had a penalty. Who knows what it would have been, but you have to be able to walk on that field and off that field and know that I gave everything I could, and I spent everything I got, and the outcome's the outcome. I'm willing to live with that outcome.
Right.
Exactly, Sullivan, because I know that I did all that I could, but to not do that, and because you're immediately impacting everybody around you, your teammates, your coaches. That's the beauty of a team, when you can all pull on the same oar, when you're all committed and devoted to the same level of preparation and execution and excellence and whatever the goal is.
Right.
And hopefully you're shooting for the stars and that they're big goals, because why not?
Right.
You're going to do it anyway. If you're going to be going through the drill,
Why not keep it
let's
your own?
let's think big.
Yeah.
Totally.
And let's have fun doing it.
And no matter how much you prepare, everyone still has bad days. Everyone
Yeah.
still
No. That
has things come up and happen. And I think Delaney and Sullivan, well, they are the first two to kind of work together. Two family members on the same team. That's a huge step. Obviously, so amazing that they're able to do that. But kind of just shifting things a little bit lighter here, Sullivan, I have a fun question for you, Delaney. Brace yourself. So since working with Delaney for the past year, obviously she's incredible, so many things. Has there been a time or a situation where you thought, oh boy, like Delaney is losing it, she's stressed to the max, like this is going to be a disaster? Or does that just not
This is more
happen?
of like how many times a week, not has there been a time.
You can be
Well,
honest, Sullivan.
I will say, I am being honest here. Having played tennis with Delaney for the better part of, 15 years, seeing her compete in that, and then having her join me in commercial real estate, she is a calm and cool competitor.
Yeah.
Right.
She might not feel that inside. I
Right.
suspect she doesn't, because I
Right.
think she's human.
Still a roach.
But her exterior is cool and calm. So I
Yeah.
rarely see her, panicked, or I rarely see her.
with their hair on fire.
Well,
In short, I don't have a good example of where she's made a, strategic decision that I have to throw a flag on. Funny though, when I look in her office, as she gets busier and she takes on more and more business, I have stopped a few times and gone, oh no, her office is starting to look like mine.
I used to be so organized.
And what I want to say is, I want you to do what I say, but not what I do.
Yeah.
Don't follow my lead too closely, because I'm, a bit of a mess sometimes myself. But really, no, Delaney, having her out there in the field in front of clients is such an advantage. I can't stress that enough. It's been a huge blessing. And we talked about the challenges of this industry, the emotional toll and kind of the physical toll. Being able to work with family directly and indirectly is
It's incredible and a rare opportunity.
huge lift.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Sullivan. That was very generous and nice. I definitely think that was overly nice. But I do have brochures, LOIs thrown across my desk now. I can start to see the phrase or the saying of my desk is like what's going on in my head. It's just chaos.
Yeah,
a lot of the
it's good.
papers everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's okay. There's a method to our madness. That's what I like
It
to
must
say.
be so
I know
fun
where
for
my
you.
things are located.
Yes, absolutely. Dad, it must be fun for you kind of watching the three kids, because we all have such different strengths and we're all doing like
Yeah.
slightly different things. And just kind of like, because you raised us, you know where our weaknesses and strengths are.
Yeah.
And so, in your opinion, if we had a reality TV show
Right.
related to brokerage, who would be the first person on the team to kind of become like a breakout reality TV star, and who would be the first person to be canceled online for doing or saying something crazy?
Yeah.
Can I interject?
Yes.
Is everyone in the family on the show,
No,
or just
just-
No,
real
just
estate?
the three
Okay.
of us.
Yeah.
Or the four
And
of
you
us.
can answer as well. So
I yield the
I
floor
want your
to you.
opinion.
Yeah.
But you can go first.
Well, who would be the first? I haven't watched a lot of reality
Yeah,
TV.
that's
so,
a
right.
tough question.
That's
so
all right.
the first one to be what?
Like a breakout star, someone that just the internet loves.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
funny, they're good on camera, and then the first person that would maybe step outside the lines a little bit and maybe be
Well, okay.
canceled.
I think it'd be you too, and I think she would become the star.
I think
She
so
is just
too.
so Delaney, you're all natural,
Yeah.
obviously,
I
with
think that's
great
true.
natural talent. But in terms of media and camera and talk, and like Sullivan said, she was just so calm and cool and collective and smart. And you
Oh,
would
thank
drive
you.
your opponents crazy when you play tennis. But I think you would probably be the star, but you'd be the one that would color out. You just took the words out of
I
my mouth.
can't help but
You-
color out.
the margins would go away, bumpers or no,
No.
guard shields keeping you
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
freeway.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you would just, you would
Yeah.
just create
I
and
like to
go
do
and
things.
ask for,
Say sorry later.
say I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
forgiveness later.
But what a great
Ask for
quality.
forgiveness
Like
later.
that inspires me so much about you. Truly. I know
Yeah,
we're
you-
joking saying you're going to get
Yeah,
canceled, but
you're-
like
Yeah.
you really don't take no for an answer. you just think outside the box. You're constantly inspiring me, pushing me, going, what if we do it this way? Or I hear about deals that you're working on and it's so elaborate, so thought out, and you just constantly are having these light bulb ideas of, well, we can make it work if we do it this way.
Yeah.
Maybe we could double end the transaction if we do it like this. I mean, it's crazy.
Thank you guys.
Very proud of you.
And it's it's all those ideas that you might get in some trouble or whatever.
Sure.
But it's also one of your greatest strengths is because
Yeah.
you're constantly trying to put people together and solve problems and
Right.
solutions. And so you kind of get bored when it comes to,
I get bored.
Maybe someone else can finish this up.
Yeah,
I found the ingredients. You go bake the cake.
Yeah.
Instead of media training,
Yeah.
what's that?
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
I
So-
think there's only one way to answer that question, and that's what you said. Brentley would be butting heads with the producer and rewriting the
Rewriting
So
the
script.
script. Yeah.
Probably better though. Let's
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah, with good intentions. It's just
Yeah.
I'd be kicked off my own show before it even started.
Well, Sully, I want to ask you this question. Obviously, we all negotiate for a living and we're also post-competitive athletes where we have our background in sports. So we're all very competitive and we do it as a part of our business. Who in this little family roundtable would you go up against, easy money, negotiating, and take them down easily? And who would you be like, no, absolutely
It's a
not?
tough one.
that is a tough one. I mean,
No, if anybody's
we've got
easy money.
three trained killers who are sitting next to me, so it's not obvious who the easy money is. Who I would not want to go up against, I'm going to say Brentley.
Agreed.
I think
Totally.
I wouldn't even know if my position was being conveyed to the other party. Like it would just, you know what I'm saying? It's like, this is my client, like this is, we need to do the deal. And it's like Brentley's basically a principal
Yeah.
and that she's a dead end.
Yeah.
I can't get past her.
Yeah.
No, that's
She's saying it's
true.
done this way. And I would have to cave. You know?
Yeah.
So I don't want
I
to go up
completely
against
agree
Brentley.
with that.
So Texas and San Diego, yeah. We don't have to compete
We've
that
never
often.
had
but-
to negotiate directly on a deal. We always are working on things together and helping each other. So maybe there'll be a time in the future where we do. And we can
Yeah.
put
I think
this
there
through to the
definitely
test.
Well, I hope we can collaborate. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I promise.
Keep it peaceful. Keep it peaceful. Dad'll be the mediator. You can step
those
in.
are conflicts of interest, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. We'll work through
Full
that.
disclosure.
Yeah.
That's all right. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So to end the episode, we have kind of a fun, fast-paced deal or no deal. We're going to throw some scenarios at you. They're a little bit exaggerated, but they're also elements of it that you guys experience in your day-to-day as retail brokers. And no explanations beyond what we're giving you. So no
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
We want a quick deal, no deal answer. Okay.
You're all both answering each question.
For ourselves.
Yes, for
Obviously.
yourself.
Yeah.
I
Take us-
will do the
take us
honors
off.
on the first one. So you win a trophy listing, but the owners insist everything has to be handled via group text with 7 other family members. Dad, deal or no deal?
Deal. I'll take that deal.
Deal, no problem.
Like we grew
I'll try. I'll try to bring 7 people together. Get 7.
At least
yes.
it's a group message.
I've got
and
to
not
get 7 yeses.
individual.
True. Yeah.
There's
True.
going to be 1 or 2 holdouts.
Save time.
Yeah.
Then I've just
It's a
got to
group
focus on that.
text. Yeah, so true. Okay, number 2, your perfect tenant wants to sign a 30-year lease, but they refuse to communicate by email. Only fax. Deal or no deal?
Do we even know how to use a fax machine? Dad, do you?
We're going to figure it out. For 30 years of lease
It's
consideration.
always going to be deal with these guys.
I know that's what
Yeah,
I'll do
I mean-
anything. They're like, we'll do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll improvise somehow. I mean, we'll do it by FedEx or something.
Yeah.
I mean, think about
if
every
I have to use a fax machine, I'm not sure we even have them anymore in the offices, do we? But
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you
but-
can.
You'd have to buy one.
I think you could write it up like an email or a memo and
Yeah.
fax it to them. I mean, it would be tedious.
So deal?
But,
Am I
yeah.
carrying deal?
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we're going to take a
You
swing.
make it work.
Let's
Deal.
take a swing at it.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
sure.
right. These guys
We
are
have to.
brave. Should have made these a little harder.
I know.
Okay, here's one. You get a great anchor tenant, but they require 15 exclusive uses that will now kill your leasing plan. Deal or no deal?
No deal. No exclusives.
That's long term.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem as we're trying to exit the asset.
Yeah.
And we can't sell with that kind of limitation. So,
Yeah,
No deal.
I keep looking for an anchor tenant.
Love it.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Do you agree?
oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If they're that high maintenance, it's only going to get worse.
Okay, you finally get your long earned commission, but it comes in the form of mall gift cards and coupons. Deal or no deal?
No deal.
How much money is? I mean,
It's a good size deal. It's a good amount.
Yeah. You can just be at the mall every weekend.
I
Yeah.
really don't want to be compensated in gift cards and all that stuff.
The
I
better
really
question
don't.
is, would you sign a listing agreement
Oh,
being paid in gift cards
yeah, no,
if it was
no,
1.5 times the
Yeah.
commission schedule?
Double commission, but it gives
no.
but it gives
Let's start over.
Let's start over.
Let's start
Okay.
over.
We're not that
Let's-
desperate.
let's-
We're not that
Yeah, we'll
desperate.
go to the next one.
No deal.
This next one's very relatable, Bradley.
Okay. You land your dream tenant rep account, but they insist on choosing a space based solely on vibe, and they have no other specific requirements. Deal or no deal?
For me, no. If I have no criteria and don't know what I'm hunting for, I don't want to go create something new.
Yeah.
I don't
Now
wanna
we're
go-
getting into
I
residential.
don't want to go down.
No, thank
Yeah,
you.
I mean, I've always said factory outlets. I know nothing about factory outlets. Don't ask me to
Yeah.
release a factory outlet. I don't. It's not what we do.
So you don't want to
So I
choose
don't-
space based
I don't
on
want to
how-
take valuable time from my existing clients to go try to learn something new and learn by default, because you're going
Right.
to get no. It's just, I believe you're better off having criteria and having understanding. If we're going to hunt, let's hunt with a rifle and not a shotgun, and be specific, more specific.
Right.
Sullivan?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to pick up the phone and call a developer or landlord and say, how's the vibe? You know, I need to know what
What do you feel when you walk in? A list
think
of adjectives.
if that's my dream client, we're going to stay close. I'm going to try
Yeah.
to help them understand what
Yeah.
else is there beyond vibe, but they're not ready.
Yeah,
They're going to
that-
need
yeah.
more
We
criteria.
need-
Refine it.
yeah,
Yeah.
they need to be educated.
Yeah.
So we're still going to be friends, and we're hopefully going to do business together, but
That's a good.
it's
Maybe
not,
get out of
not
the
time to start
therapist
site
and-
selection.
Okay, they'll give you the listing, but you must personally water the landscaping every Tuesday at sunrise. Deal or no deal?
No,
No
no,
deal.
not interested.
That's an easy one.
Not interested.
Wait, why was that one so
Not interested. I mean, if it was some, if it was a 300 acre, mixed use development, you got to control it all, and then I'd hire somebody to do the
no, you
landscape.
personally.
That was
What
in
do
the
you out
details.
there
But if I have to be the guy, no, I
to show your commitment?
well, yeah, we'll be committed, but watering the
We'll be
landscape.
committed
He
to
said
finding
not
you a
for
good,
you.
a good
The business,
landscape
Yeah.
come
vendor.
on.
It's-
More
Thinking
not-
at our stage, yes. But
No.
okay. Your commission is doubled, but the lease is 247 pages, and you must do all lease comments using track changes on your cell phone. Deal or no deal?
How big's the commission?
It's doubled.
It's significant.
It's
Yeah.
big. But you have to redline the lease yourself on your cell phone with track changes.
I don't even know if I can do. I don't even know if I can do. that.
Yeah,
You'd have to figure it out.
Sullivan probably could. He's very tech savvy.
And halfway through that question, I was all in at 247
Double
pages of
commission
lease.
is all in.
When you said
No problem.
redline it on your cell phone, and it started to get iffy. The legal liability alone is not worth the double commission.
Trying to get that extra letter, like.
yeah.
Well, not an attorney negotiating a lease. It's going to take 6 times as long.
Yep.
I
yeah,
think that's a deal breaker.
No deal.
I
No
don't.
deal.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be.
That's
If it
very
can do it on
basic.
a PC, I'm in. Not the cell phone.
I mean,
You guys are losing money. Very.
Me and Delaney are going to
We're
pick
picking
up
up
all these
clients.
it's like
I'll be so busy landscaping
These
and doing
accounts
other
are
ours now.
15 pages on insurance and subordination. I was like, oh,
Okay, we have one more to close out this section.
Okay, it's the perfect deal, but you must attend all future landlord-tenant meetings as their spiritual mediator. Deal or no deal? All future tenant-landlord meetings. You have to be present.
well, there aren't a lot of tenant landlord meetings after the deal's done.
That's something to take
Okay.
into
You know,
consideration.
I mean,
Don't
there might be
Yeah.
some actual meetings. They might talk about CAM and triple nets and costs, some costs back and forth.
But you have to be there for that as the spiritual leader.
Yeah, probably not. I'm probably a no. I'm probably a no. It's
No
like,
deal.
it's just so far outside the box,
You're always telling us to think outside the box.
Well, but you also have to be a good steward of your time.
Right.
And that's opportunity costs to go to every one of those meetings
Yeah.
in the
100%.
future that who knows how much time that's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
No deal.
That sounds like a no deal situation. Although, if these are both potential lifetime clients and they meet quarterly, no problem.
Right.
Right? It depends on the details. It doesn't sound promising. So I'm going to say no deal.
Well, a lot of these
That's
are
written.
not ever would never happen. And
Yeah,
right,
no,
they're fictitious, but it's kind of like how far would you go to
Right.
make a deal happen?
Well, and there's elements of truth, I think, in quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Like, elements that we do experience, but obviously this is emphasized to make
Yeah.
a point. But
exaggerated.
yeah. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for joining in. We're so happy to have you on here. And this was just so fun. I can't wait to do it again with
incredible.
you guys. Thank you
Yes.
so much for your time
Absolutely.
Proud of you.
and your
So excited
knowledge.
for you
And
guys.
both of you are just such inspirations to Brettley and I, good mentors, good people to bounce ideas off of. And we just feel so lucky to have you in our corner. And
Squarely
also
there.
nobody else we'd rather have a little competition with.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, the feeling's mutual. We're so proud of you guys and impressed with what you're doing. We're excited to be a
Oh
small
my
part of it.
gosh, absolutely. Yeah.
This
I
is
will
just the beginning.
get in on the ground floor.
Yeah,
Just as
you're
a
already
consultant.
in. You're already,
Hire me, please.
you're already in. Don't worry.
I love it.
Good luck getting out. Is the
Yeah.
approach.
Yeah. What have you gotten into?
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Merry Christmas and have a wonderful New Year's. And we'll be back.
Merry Christmas. Yeah, thank you guys so
Soon.
much for listening. Talk
Merry
to you soon.
Christmas.